if you look at the website today, it is rendered by JavaScript. Now, the problem is the fact that there is a 500 millisecond response time on the web page today. The UX is good, it's clean, it's neat. It is about 500 to 600 milliseconds on average. Now, I'm trying to see if I can get it further down. Right? The natural progression there is to have a server rendered website. The obvious choice there would have been a server rendered website in terms of by using the Next.js or Nuxt or SvelteKit, right? Considering the stack is as lean as possible today, from the entire start of the stack wherein the puller runs all the way to the end of it, it's as lean as possible. It runs on C and plain HTML, JavaScript, CSS, inline CSS, and nothing more. Now, the idea is not to add bloat and ensure that it remains that way as much as possible. So the next logical progression is to bring in a lightweight HTTPD server in C that, as an interstitial, places an API call to the same API on the same machine at the moment, get the JSON out, construct the website, and render it as a single HTML file. Right now, this is more of an interstitial, as I mentioned. The reason is that there is still the HTTP overhead rather, wherein it is come down to probably around 300 to 400 milliseconds from 500 to 600 or a little more than that. Now, the next logical progression from here is considering the fact there are a couple of options here. As a matter of fact, there is already an existing workflow in the machine where it uses CGI. It had been using the same. It has been using a CGI script to start with to render the JSON file without a server per se. The reason why I moved from there into a C server is to ensure that the latencies are as low as possible. And when you have to spin out a CGI process and Nginx handles that, there is always a new process overload and the stack increases and all those things, which means the natural progression here would be to use either the SQLite libraries directly and query and come back and get the JSON directly there instead of an API call, or at the very least switch to using another fork, get the CGI, the JSON through it, rather than a full round trip. Now, if you look at it from an objective standpoint, you do a DNS resolution, go to the website, fetch it. It's running on the same machine. I still could do a HTTP localhost, but it's not portable in that sense. If tomorrow when things change, it will be a problem, right? And maybe there might be a case where I would have to have these running on a different machine, where it might look like a HTTP server that runs the API and returns the JSON would be a good idea, but my approach here is a little different for the future in that I'm trying to move all of these into a single volume and get it rsync, which means I have the ability to have real-time backups along with the fact that I can use libsql to bring in all of these in one go and have the data outside of the machine, and I do not really have to have a server running. That is the idea, but eventually. So this is the current state. The idea here is, as a matter of fact, to have as lean as possible. How does it impact on a real-time basis? Probably you might see the impact when you go to emulate 2G, 3G connection, but until then it's all the same.